The Heat Awakened. Created by Arthur Rumrill. Noah McDaniel had once been the kind of man who lit up lecture halls. In 1987, 26 years old, dark-haired and white-toothed, he taught thermodynamics like a sermon. Students packed the room, not just engineering majors, but curious freshmen, skeptical business majors, even a few English majors who came for the show. He paced the stage and rolled up sleeves, chalked dust on his hands, turning dry equations into something alive and urgent. The local news station poached him mid-semester after a segment on campus, drawn by that rarest of combinations, real science and undeniable screen presence. They called him the whole package, charismatic, credible, and camera-ready. For a few golden years, he was their rising star, the weatherman who actually understood the physics behind the forecasts, the one viewers trusted when storm clouds gathered. 42 years later, the package was a rumpled man in a shiny Navy 1980s suit with wide lapels who had chosen the basement of Channel 32. He could have taken the sleek upstairs office with the glass walls and ergonomic chair. Instead, he claimed this dim corner for himself, surrounding the battered Magnavox typewriter with his old analog equipment the world had forgotten how to use. The clack of metal keys cut through the low hum of servers like an old heartbeat. Upstairs, the AI models spat out flawless 98% forecasts in milliseconds. Down here, Noah still trusted ink and ribbon. He typed slowly, deliberately, as if the machine itself might forget if he rushed. Anomaly. 47. Superheated air mass reversed direction at 0314. Pursued population corridor. 19. Again. The paper curled upward, warm to the touch. Not from the typewriter, from something else. He still hit 98% on local forecasts using the old analog equipment no one else trusted. The station quietly ran his numbers through the fancy AI models and took the credit. But they no longer let him speak the truth on air. Not since he started talking about the heat. Noah McDaniel stood in the Channel 32 Action News studio, sweat beading on his forehead under the harsh lights. The studio lights were a lie. They were bright, but they weren't warm. Not compared to the infection of red and orange bleeding across the satellite feed. It was July 2027, and the heat wasn't just weather anymore. It was hunting. "Listen to me," he said into the camera, his voice steady but edged with desperation. "This isn't climate change as we've modeled it. The temperatures, they're defying physics, rising too fast, too deliberate. Something's alive out there." The producers cut to commercial after the first warning. Viewers called it fear-mongering. Noah knew better. He'd seen the data, heat waves that targeted cities like predators, buckling roads in patterns that followed population density, overwhelming grids in synchronized strikes. People dropped in the streets, not from exhaustion, but as if their bodies had been chosen. Hearts racing to cool blood that boiled from within. Kidneys failing under the silent assault. The heat was awake. A ravening god, ancient and patient, finally stirring from its long slumber as humanity poked it with carbon and hubris. It didn't rage like a storm, it simmered, it savored. Infrared signatures on Noah's private model showed anomalies. Pockets of superheated air that moved against the wind, coiling around vulnerable communities like a serpent. Diane Jett, 28, statuesque and radiant, tried to manage him with her million-viewer smile and light English accent. Classic Noah, she'd laugh on air, hand lightly on his wide lapel, always keeping us on our toes. But off camera, her smile would falter for a split second, the bright professionalism cracking just enough for Noah to catch the flicker of real unease in her eyes. In the control room, the young crew whispered, "He's never wrong, though. 98%. One junior producer, barely out of college, would quietly slip Noah fresh satellite printouts between takes while pretending to roll his eyes at the old man's conspiracy notes. Still, they saw him as stuck in 1987, typing conspiracy notes on a typewriter while the world moved on. He tried everything. Broadcasts from his bunker-like apartment, encrypted reports, desperate pleas. "It's not random. Track the anomalies. The heat is learning our weaknesses." Funds dried up. Scientists who agreed vanished or recanted. The world wanted air conditioning and denial, not apocalypse. They look at me the same way the Trojans once looked at Cassandra, he thought bitterly as another red technical difficulties screen swallowed his feed. By 2028, the roasting was relentless. Summers bled into one eternal furnace. Noah broadcast from a mobile unit now, dodging blackouts and riots. It's feeding, he told the dwindling audience. On our sweat, our panic, our last breaths, we built the greenhouse, it moved in. The last holdouts sealed themselves in bunkers. Noah joined one in the Rockies, the final redoubt. He was no longer the weatherman, he was the witness. In 2029, the critical threshold hit. The heat pressed in, a living inferno. Thermometers shattered, walls glowed. Air thickened into soup that scorched lungs. Noah clutched his final notes, watching the readouts flatline one by one. It wasn't global climate change that ended us. It was the heat, alive, aware, and hungry. Bent on roast human for lunch, it claimed its feast. Outside the bunker, the world baked silent under a merciless sun. Humanity drew its final heat-soaked gasps.